Hello there, this is Chris with Peace of Mind, and I'm just going to kind of take you along on my journey today of some slow stitching. I have been working on some more of the little pouch purses that I make and sell on my Etsy shop. I've been slow stitching them, and I'll kind of show you my process. I cut out the fabric to make 3 of them. And I've finished one, except for sewing it into a pouch. Now I do have a video on how, after you get your slow stitch finished, then you can sew it into a pouch. And I will link that video so that you can, if you wanted to make it into a pouch, you could. Or if you wanted to just make the slow stitch panel like this and make it into a book or whatever else you might want to. But this one is finished except for sewing it, and then of course putting the lining in. And I don't bother to worry too much about my threads on the back. I do try to kind of secure them a bit, but there will be a lining between this and the pouch. Now I did have to make sure that as far as the orientation of the different fabrics and trims and so on went in the direction of, when this was closed, that this was the right side up, and then that when you turn it over, that this is the top here. So if you look at the whole panel, you'll see this part and this part look upside down, but then when you fold it, then this goes to the front and so on. So I'll show you this. I have some, this is the front flap. I've sewed a button there. And I have some greenery with some French knots, pieces of fabric underneath. And this I cut from an old handkerchief. This is also an old handkerchief. And these I find at vintage stores and flea markets and so on, and you know, if you're lucky enough to find them, actually I haven't had to pay too much for them. So, and you may also have your grandmother's old, back in the day, well, I'd say like in the probably in the 40s on back, the women used to carry these decorative handkerchiefs in their purse, and of course they'd use them, and they'd wash them, and a lot of the ladies collected them. And now they're just kind of going by the wayside, and nobody's using them anymore. But they're great for, I've seen them sewn into quilts and all kinds of things like that. This came from a dresser scarf that I purchased at a flea market. And I washed it, and usually I wash them because sometimes they have kind of a musty smell to them. Sometimes they do have stains on them, and I just hand wash them. And if you use a very light iron, you can get out any wrinkles. So that's what that is. That's a piece of fabric. I have some buttons. This is just a trim that came on a roll. This is the edge of a dresser scarf. Some slow stitched lazy daisies. And then you can see I've done I think this is called the herringbone stitch along here. I could add some flowers if I wanted to on that, but I think that's enough. And then some rows of just the straight slow stitching. These are some I'll turn it the right way around here so you can see. This is a row of just stem stitches, and then I did some little Y stitches at the top to make them look kind of like tulips. So that one is finished except for sewing it into a pouch. Okay, here's one I'm currently working on, and I'll show it to you folded up. Go like that. It goes down, and I've started on it. I probably will do some more stitching in here. I've done the edge, and I made it so that the edge of the handkerchief, this is the handkerchief, the edge of the handkerchief goes over the top of the flap. Excuse me. Those of you who have watched my videos in the past know that I almost always sneeze or cough during one of them. Okay, and this is the front. This is a little heart cut out of a napkin. This is a piece of that antique lace that I got from a friend of mine. This is a piece of modern lace that I got at Hobby Lobby. And it had some flowers, motifs inside the lace, and I just cut that out. I let these edges fray, that's fine. I'll take this out of the way for a second. Here's a piece of just white linen fabric that I ruffled up and sewed down. And here's a piece of lace that I'm going to sew down. I wouldn't necessarily have to sew it straight. I could make it curve up if I wanted to. I could, basically do anything that suits me. I can use a plain color thread to sew it down so it doesn't show, or I can use a colored thread so that it emphasizes it. I haven't decided yet on that. Here's the other side. And here's another piece of the antique French lace fabric, some more of that lace that I got from Hobby Lobby. And you can get like yardage of lace and then just cut it up. It's a lot more inexpensive than buying like the lace that comes on the spools. And the advantage of that is it's great because even though the fabric's frayed, it's excellent for this kind of thing where you like that quality of it. This is one of those little fabric flowers that I showed you how to make in my Little Bits video. And then here's the third one that I haven't really started working on yet. I put down a few. This is a piece of linen, like an old oh, I know what it was. It was a towel, like a toweling to make towels. Actually, it isn't old. I got it at Joann's, I think, and it was just a remnant. And it's made to make tea towels out of. But I'm making this. I am gonna put something here also. This is the bottom of or part of the lace runner that I had with this pretty lace here. It was an old dresser scarf. And then here on the back you can see that it's really a pretty linen looking fabric. This I had left over from I used to make hair ornaments and flowers and stuff, and I had this and I never used it. I did have something sewn on into the middle that I must not have liked, or I used it on something else. I can't remember. But I'm going to sew that down. I thought that was really pretty. I kind of try to make it down there a little better, even it out on the petals. And then I don't know yet what I'm going to put in the middle. Possibly I could use, I keep my things like in a baggie. Different pieces of lace and so on. Put this flower in the middle. I could find another one of these that matches this color and put that there. Endless possibilities. So, those are the 3 that are coming up. They'll be on my Etsy shop as soon as I get them made. Let me show you just a couple of stitches here. How I stitched this. I think I'm going to, do some stem stitching in here with some green, and then I'll go back in with some purple and put some either Lazy Daisies or French knots. Okay, I have my thread threaded. I just have 3 strands. You can use as many strands of the embroidery floss as you want. I usually use either 3 or all 6, and that will determine the thickness of the stitch. So I'll probably start over here. Basically what I want to do is I just want to make a stem that's going to kind of curve around here. Maybe have a trundle that goes up through there. And this is how you do the stem stitch. You come up. Okay, and this is a piece of thin fabric that's on top of this thicker fabric. So I want to try to go all the way through so that it also anchors it down as I'm going. And I take about, I think that's about 1/4 of an inch. And I come up the same spot that I went down. And I got a knot already. This is very common. So I try to work that out. Then I pull it. Then I continue on. I go back down about 1/4 of an inch, and I come back up the spot that I went in. And I put my thread to the back here. And down again. I can start to turn this if I want, which I think I'm going to do just a little bit. Turn it. And I'm holding this down with my thumb. That helps keep the thread from knotting. And you just continue on. This is like the running stitch, only it's continuous. See how it doesn't go in and out. It's a continuous stem. And you can make these for flowers and trundles, and if you did it with 6 strands, it would just be a little bit thicker. I hope you're all doing well. It's April. Actually, today is Easter Sunday. Okay, and I notice that my thread is starting to come loose. One hint, if you are the type of sewer that your thread always comes out of your needle. Not so much with the embroidery floss, but with other thread, I use a double thread and knot it so that the thread never comes out of the needle. And you could do that also with the floss, especially if you were doing a 6 strand. Then you can just put your thread all the way down here, knot it, and then you have 6 strands here, but it's not going to ever come out of the needle because it's connected down there by the knot. Okay, so let's go up here. Okay, now say I want to end that, and I can come back down as close as I can. And then tacks that down, right like that. Okay, then I think I'm gonna come up here and go this way. So what I'll do is I'll put my thumb there, and then I'll come back on the back. I want to come out about here. And you can go either way on this. I'm turning my fabric the other way, but I prefer to have my fabric going in the direction that I'm turning. Now, it's a little hard to pull sometimes. Just go gently. Now, when I first started putting these pieces down, these pieces of fabric, you can pin them, and I do that on the thicker things. I pin them, but you can also, especially on the lightweight fabric, you can put a dab of glue stick on the back, and that really holds it down well without adding any weight. The weight of the glue, sometimes like another kind of glue would be like a real thin layer there, and that would add to it, but glue stick works great for that. You don't have that added problem with the glue stick. And when you're making these, you don't have to always just stay within the parameters of this piece of fabric. If I wanted to, I can take this down here, and I might do that. You know, even though this is going to be folded, say this was folded, then I could come up on this area as well if I wanted to. Because think of your slow stitching as a whole. You want your eye to move around. How am I doing for time here? Got a little bit more time. Like I said, I'm going to make these into the pouches or little purse that I make, and I'll link the video where I make them and I show you the finished product. If anybody sees one of these that they would like to eventually purchase when I get them done, just let me know, and I will send you a message let me know on my Etsy shop, or also the comments below, and I will send a message to you when it's ready. And, you know, we'll discuss the price and so on. Okay, so I'm going to come back up at some point here. Probably here. Okay, I'm not going to take the time to do that whole thing, so that I can show you the next step, which would be to sew some kind of flower on here. I think I'm going to do French knots. I'm going to start a little ways up from the stem where the flowers would start. Okay, then I'm coming up from the back with my knot in the back, and I'm going to hold this in my this of course is my right hand, my dominant hand, and this is my left hand, my non-dominant hand. And then I'm going to go in, I'm going to wrap it around 3 or 4 times depending on how big I want my knot. I think I'm going to make them bigger, so I've got 6 strands on here, so they should be pretty big. Okay, then I'm going to go down. I'm going to hold that with my thumb. So your left hand does the holding, and your right hand works the needle. And I'm pulling that through, not real fast, because I don't want to get tangled. And then I'm going to, right at the end, I'm going to kind of pinch it down with my thumb. Then I'm going to move over and do another one. And you can do these in different colors if you want. I've used the variegated thread. That's very pretty because it changes the colors right as you go. Okay, so you come up, you go under, wrap it around 3 or 4 times. Okay, then you're going to hold this down with your thumb, and you can even put your nail right there to secure it so it doesn't come popping up before you get it. Get the thread all the way through. Okay, and you go through, and then I kind of take my thumb and I squash it down. If you don't have a nail, just use the pad of your thumb. Okay, I'll do one more here while we're here. You can go out to the side. You don't have to have a stem connecting every flower. It's just kind of the look of it. Okay, you come up. You from the back. You go from the back. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you go down pretty much in that same hole that you just came up in. And you try to get that looped thread all the way down to the where the fabric is. You hold it with your thumb, gently pull it through. There you go. Okay, so I will continue on that. And when I'm finished here, I'll probably, and I will show these when I get them all 3 finished. I'll hook it down here. I might put a button here. I'm not sure yet. I will definitely do some more sewing here because see how it's loose. It's not secured there. Try to secure it at least. Well, the rule in quilting is like no more than I think it's 4 inches between. But with this, it should be closer. You know, you don't want a big because that's about what, 2 inches. So maybe about an inch is about as big as you should leave that area unsewn. And I could always go back in and do just some more slow stitching too along here if I wanted to. Okay, so I thank you for joining me today on making our slow stitch pouch. I wish you peace of mind. Take care.